Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and Apex Racing UK Facebook and social media pages. Alex Simpson and Marco Barbanera here for another round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps tonight, or today, sorry. Getting a little bit ahead of myself there. And I tell you what, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting race for us. Looking at qualifying results, we'll go into that in a moment. But yeah, I definitely feel like we're going to have a very interesting race to cover today, Marco. How are you first? And how was the week? And yeah, what you're expecting from this one?
Hello everyone, doing fine, doing very, very good. Today's been a fantastic day for me. Good qualifying session in the real race, and hopefully a good race for Apex today in one of my favorite tracks. Like I said, the only track in the world where I've been able to actually roll through the racing surface after the Spa 24 hour when they opened the gate. It's been fantastic, and to be fair and to be serious, the biggest thing I got away from actually walking the track is the sheer drop-off, and then the climb that you get from Orouge and Raidillon, Alex, is something that you have to go there to really see the amazing how much the track goes up there. It's unbelievable that these cars can take the corner basically flat out.
It's definitely on my bucket list to get to a race there, I think. And from what I gather as well, it's actually cheaper for me to travel to Belgium and watch a race there than what it would be to travel the 45 minutes and pay for a ticket at the Silverstone gate. So I really ought to sort my get my backside in gear and get over to there, because I agree, I think it'll be quite a phenomenal place to go and watch a Grand Prix, and yeah, definitely one to do. We mentioned a little bit about sort of qualifying, and we're expecting a bit of an interesting race. We'll bring up the grid in a moment, but just want to quickly touch on championship standings before we get going. Of course, Martin Kroenke leads the way. He's not very far ahead of Mitchell de Jong after de Jong's win last week. So those guys are still very much racing for the championship. Greg are pretty much out of it now in third place on 770. Matt Backham in fourth on 730. Peter Berryman still hot on his heels on 693. Kevin Ellis Jr. in sixth. 640. So Peter's still got an opportunity to get ahead of Mac, but I think Gregor might be safe if he has a good run today. Josh Rogers in seventh, then it's Jamie Fluke, Marcus Jensen in ninth, and our Antoine Hegelin rounds out the top 10. So all four of our drivers currently sat inside that top 10, which probably has to be, I think, one of the best seasons we've had so far in the championship, with just 2 rounds to go.
Yes, 2 rounds to go, and I wanted to ask you quickly before the start of the race, what do you think about the calendar? I mean, it has been so spread out during the rest of the season, and now we get 3 rounds back to back to back. It must be very, very tough on the drivers.
Yeah, there was some little grumblings in the sort of the Facebook chat and things like that over the week. It's just the relentless back-to-back practicing that the guys are having to do as well. So yeah, I said at the start, well, of this little run that they tried to get ahead of themselves early on, to do some practice early on in the season as well here, and I think it has helped them. But yeah, definitely it's sort of paying its toll. We're going to have a little break before Kota, which is going to be good, and yeah, that will wrap up the season. But yeah, just the way kind of everything fell with the Expo and trying to squeeze in the last round of the VRS GT series, of course. So yeah, it's been pretty busy for the guys, and yeah, I think that they're going to enjoy the break, I think, after this one, that's for sure.
And of course, it creates also a fixture congestion, if we want to use a football term, because today Racing has got 2 endurance events running in parallel. So for some of the drivers, it's also a choice of I do this, I do that. Of course, if you do the World Championship, I think this has to take it's going to come before everything else. But I really hope that for the next season, so next year for 2019, we get a little bit of a better scheduling of special events and World Championships, because right now we're going to have, I think, 4 World Championships between all the main. Oh, or sorry, 5, because we also have the GT World Championship. And all the special events. Of course, iRacing is going to move towards, I think, more towards endurance racing with a new day-night cycle, which is going to come hopefully soon. So we're going to see a lot of good stuff, a lot of nice races hopefully they are a little bit more spread out. As practice is over, so I think the starting grid is going to come on your screens in just a bit. Here we go. So it's Martin Kroenke in the pole position, Mac Bakum is in second, Joshua Rogers in third. In P4 is Marcus Jensen, Jamie Fluke, the first Apex driver sitting in P5, then Mitchell de Jong, Gregor Hutu starting in P7, Tommy Osgard in 8th, David Williams in 9th, David Decorp in 10th position. It's Kevin Ellis Jr., the other Apex driver in the top of the field, P11, then Michael Partiton is in P12, you see him. And then P13, Joao Vaz, P14, Pasharis Gergis, then Steven Michael C. Kappala, Ricardo Rothko, and Antoine Hegelin, they are third Apex driver. Fourth Apex driver is Peter Berryman, of course, in P19. So these two guys have a little bit of trouble in qualifying. Kazuki Mishima in P20, the Japanese driver. And after him, I think only a couple more drivers left in the standings. Here they go. Balazs Remenik, Paul Brink, Dion Vergeux, and Mogar Filho. So, it's too quick because we already have to start, Alex, and the cars are already going for the Lasso Serpin.
Indeed, looked like there was someone missing from the grid there as well, but a good start from the Burst Esport guys. Jamie got a pretty decent start as well. He's going to stay ahead of Gregor, I think, going into that. Of course, the run to Lecum, always so important. We'll see, get an idea here on perhaps downforce trims that cars may be running, because no slipstream on, or no DRS on offer, of course, on the first lap. Gregor having a little look at Jamie. Jamie perhaps having a little look on the back of Marcus Jensen through the outside. But as it is, they all maintain their position and they follow the leaders through. There is some changes for position further back. Well, that's because there's a massive crash. Peter Berryman and Antoine Hegelin have got through that, but unfortunately it looks like Kevin Ellis Jr. has been a bit of a victim there, and there's a problem there for Antoine as well. So yeah, not the start that we wanted here at all in this race. Let's take a look very quickly and see exactly what happened to Antoine. But you can see him sneaking through. They were 3 wide, and that was Stephen Michaels on the outside, and they're just into each other. Let's hope they haven't got too severe suspension damage, but we have lost 3 drivers, and I'm getting reports as well that one driver we have lost is Mitchell de Jong, and that is pretty important as far as the championship goes.
I mean, that crash in the chicane reminded me a lot of the, I think it was the 2009 crash they had there with Button, and also I think Hamilton involved in there. I just watched the race back a few days ago. And then unfortunately after that, still more contact that was a bit unnecessary after the chicane. We know, Alex, the first lap at Spa is always chaotic. Even though it's a very long track, the way it is shaped, it sadly gets a little bit of a bad reputation for first laps, because you get those very long straights and chicanes. After that, the cars are so bunched up. This is almost, I wouldn't say inevitable, but with all these drivers fighting for position and knowing that it's going to be tough to make an overtake later in the race, they all want to get that position, and sadly it leads to crashes, and that's what we saw in the opening of the race.
Yeah, Lecum is just notorious for it. Everything bunches up there, and do you know what? I don't think I've sort of seen a race that hasn't sort of had some kind of accident there. Certainly not in sort of, you know, an F1 field. On iRacing, always seems to be something, you know, even if it's just a couple of cars just having a little nerf. But yeah, that was a pretty sizable one. So just to sort of take a little stock on where everybody's sitting right now, Fluke managed to sort of maintain his position. He's tucked up behind Marcus Jensen. He's got Gregor Hutu behind him, who actually has David Williams having a look on him right now. So just to have a very quick look at that. So yeah, Gregor struggling just through the infield for a section there. Peter Berryman has moved himself up 5 spots already, so phenomenal start to this race from Berryman, and yeah, into 14th position. So he's got Ricardo Orozco just ahead, and Kazuki Umeshima. Those guys also moved up quite a lot of places. So Kazuki up 8 positions, so that's an absolute phenomenal job from him earlier on too. So as we head into the bus stop for what is the 3rd time. It's the 4th time, isn't it? No, second time. Jeez, I'm getting way ahead. So way ahead. We're on to lap 3. Come on, Alex. The number's right there in the top left-hand corner. Just read it out loud.
One thing that is going to become important, I think, when we later get into the pit stops, is going to be the pit lane. Of course, we are using the Formula 1 pit lane, and you might... No! Look at that, Peter.
That was on the absolute limit there for Peter.
I've crashed many times in that position, and you see taking a good look on the inside of Orozco, and he makes the pass despite that mistake there in the beginning of the lap. So I was saying this is the Formula 1 pit lane, and that pit lane is very narrow. The walls are extremely close, so you have to scrap off your speed before you get into the pit lane limiter zone, otherwise you risk locking up and ending up into the wall. As you get a replay there of this great move, of course. A little bit of help from the DRS moving on the inside, and that was an easy move for Peter up one place.
Yeah, it didn't look quite so severe from outside the car, did it? But on that onboard shot, you could tell how much of a moment it was. So, yeah, Peter having to be alive to what was going on. Right, let's just have a quick look, see what's going on. Once again, then, so this is 2 weeks in a row. Poor Kevin Ellis Jr. has got some sort of front wing damage that's going to cost him about 8 seconds in the pits. And looking at his lap times as well, compared to some of his teammates, he's about 2 seconds off pace right now. So he's obviously got some sort of suspension damage. So it's not going well for Kevin. Let's wait till he gets to a straight section. I think he might be holding the wheel just off centre as well. No, maybe he's okay. Yeah, maybe he's okay. So. Just aero damage, perhaps, that he's struggling with. But see what happens when he gets a new front wing on that. And Antoine Hegelin, he's even further back. He actually had a secondary incident, I believe. Last lap was extremely slow, 2 minutes 11. So see what he does this time by as he comes across. Just to see if he's still carrying what kind of damage. 149.0, so not actually too bad. So Anton has got away with it, but he's right at the back of the field. So going to be a tough old job for him, that's for sure. For the rest of this race.
Yeah, especially in a track where it's important to have good aero balance because of the. Not only of the long straights, but also the long sweeping corners like this one here, the one corner, one of the best corners in the world, I think. So if you have aero damage, you're going to be in trouble.
And what I will say is Coanda cards have always been pretty phenomenal around here in the last few years, and they're showing that again. Only people in sort of like the mid to low 148s right now. Martin Conkey at the last lap, 148.2. Absolutely flying out there, starting to stretch out a gap. He's broke the DRS from his teammate. So, yeah, not sure what the guys can do out there. Jamie just dropping back ever so slightly from Marcus Jensen as well. Not quite in the DRS this time. So it's perhaps going to give Gregor an opportunity for a move down into Kemmel, or the end of Kemmel. We'll have to look and see.
A bit of a brake lock in there, and now down to Orouge. Fantastic corner once again. Gregor has got a good run here, Alex.
Yeah, very good. DRS open. Jamie trying to defend. I don't think there's much he can do. He's still there on the inside, but no. Move complete.
Problem for Peter, I think.
Oh, I think you're right. Berryman looks like he's jumped to the pits. Oh, when it goes wrong. Oh, it was at the top of Eau Rouge once again. Race's over for Berryman.
Engine is gone as well, so no chance. That was going to be, of course, a big damage to the car, regardless of the engine. But the engine, I think, is says the word over his race, and that's sad because I was doing a good comeback.
Oh, I was really looking forward to see how he could drive through the field, see where he could get, but after the qualifying, but yeah, car just got loose. I think we saw Antoine last year at exactly the same spot do pretty much exactly the same thing. So it's easy done, that's for sure.
Yeah, even in a low-powered car, that if you get a little bit wide on the exit of Rouge already on, you risk upsetting it and finishing your race to the left side wall, and the same happens for the curb on the outside of Blanchimont. You go a little bit wider, it's like holes, like proper holes on the outside of the curb, and that can really upset your car. It can upset a skid barber, I imagine it's much more severe on an F1 car.
So now really it's to, not to pile any pressure on Jamie, of course, but yeah, all the honours are on you, I'm afraid, today, mate. The guys have got some damage that's still on there, so yeah, never rains but it pours, does it? And we're into lap 6 already, and we've got basically 2 cars with damage, 1 permanently out, so it's yeah, it's going to be a long old race. Do you know what, I'm absolutely glad that Jamie, I don't want to curse him right now, but I could do. Jamie's not one of the ones that's retired, because he's had 2 shocking meetings on the bounce as well, so he needs a good race here today, just for a little bit of confidence, I think.
Now, after Uku went past him, he's, I think, been able to keep a decent pace, and hopefully can keep Williams and Oscar behind him. Of course, we will see strategy-wise how this will play out. There was talk about one stop being the preferred strategy, so we'll see. How long can these guys make the tires work? The track is not particularly hot, neither particularly cold. I think 30 degrees Celsius or 86 Fahrenheit. So we'll see how these guys will play the cars in the strategic game, because this is a very, very long race. Only 44 laps, okay, but you know, 7 kilometers per lap, so you know it's going to be a long one. And in a track that, of course, like we just see with Peter, if you make a mistake, it's usually the end of your race.
Yeah, there's a couple of places you just absolutely can't lose it on this place, and the top of Eau Rouge is definitely one of them. You can just see, it's that little bump there that you could just see on the screen for a moment. That is just what gets the cars just ever so slightly loose. So Williams has got the DRS on Fluke, so Fluke definitely struggling just a little bit out there. Guys are slowly coming at him. I want to say it's a great job from Rogers and Jensen. They're staying relatively close to Bakken here as well in the early days of this race, so good job from those boys. Gregor with a good lap time as well, the last one. Actually the quickest driver on the circuit that last lap, so caught our leader up 0.3 of a second. He has got about 5 seconds to catch up, but he carries on at that pace. We might well see him closing back in on the grinder cars at the front.
Nice to see the track map on the right that gives us an idea of the position, and sadly you see 18 and 19 light blue dots. Those are Ellis and Hegelin, and of course you see they are running alone, and this of course is a problem, because you don't have any kind of draft. You of course don't have the luxury of using the DRS. So they are stuck basically in that position, and of course carrying damage. So I think for them it's just waiting for that pit stop, and hopefully from there pushing a bit and trying to close the gap to the slower cars in front of them.
Yeah, so to give you an idea, Ellis Jr. lapping still in the high 150, so just dropping back from the field. He's a second slower than Dion Verge is ahead of him, unfortunately. So there's not a lot Kevin's going to be able to do today. And yeah, Antoine, who pitted, I have to say, after his crash, which is why he's so much further back. That's what he's still lapping relatively decent pace, although I'm hearing news, bad news as well, that we may have just lost Antoine too in this race.
Yes, let's see the replay, because oh wow, let's see, because it was all good. I thought it was a crash at Blanchimont, not there. Locking the brakes at the chicane.
No, I think he's just retired from the race, so he's just not happy with what's going on out there in the car, and yeah, just brought it up and called it a day. Perhaps a bit of damage that we don't know about. It could be something as simple as like just the aero damage that he's got's just causing like high fuel rate, and he's just not going to make the end of the race. So why continue? You just don't know. But yeah, Antoine deciding enough is enough. So yeah, it's all gone absolutely pear-shaped for us here today.
Meanwhile, in the chat, Steven Baxter is asking us if the F1 Road to Pro Series is going to be fixed. I think it's not. It will start next season, if I'm not mistaken. So there's no indication so far on iRacing, Alex, because yeah, the IGPS is fixed now, but there's no indication on what they're going to do with the Road to Pro Series.
Yeah, I haven't heard any talk whatsoever about it being a fixed setup series. So as far as I know, it's still an open setup series. Just the same as it was last year. So yeah, don't worry, guys. Those that you know enjoy you know, the series for what it is and the open setups and things like that, I'm pretty sure that is exactly what you're going to get. I haven't got any schedule information or anything. I haven't seen any of that yet. So I know it's not too far away, of course. Typically starts just after, obviously, this series finishes. So we've got about 3 weeks to go. Hopefully we'll get some information from Tyler and the sort of the WCS sort of directors and things like that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be a open setup once again. Peter Berryman commenting in also in the YouTube video as well. I shouldn't have left Magaluf, which is worth pointing out as well that that Peter was I can't remember if it was a stag do that he was with as well. So preparation being a little bit short than usual. But you're right, Pete. Probably would have had a lot more fun out there than you have today, mate.
Lap 10 about to begin. We are still on lap 9 now. The cars make their way around Blanchimont once again. The corner, of course. This track has been a little bit changed around 2006 when it was left off of the F1 calendar for works that didn't change the track by a lot, but I just watched some old races this week and I noticed that the start-finish line has changed quite a bit. I forgot about the fact that back in the days, back in 2005 and earlier, the starting grid was actually on a corner because of the way the bus stop was shaped. And the big changes they made, of course, was changing the runoff areas to Blanchimont to One, because Kevin Ellis Jr. is in the pits right now.
I think Kevin might even be out of the car. Is he trying to get it repaired? Front wing comes up. That'll get repaired. Well, let's see if that's going to help him. Of course, he's had to switch to a two-stop strategy. I think we have actually got Mitchell de Jong out on the track as well. So he's in 20th place, but he's managed to get himself connected. I mean, he needs to score as many points as he possibly can. So I'm not surprised that he's come back out there. But yeah, Kevin away. Let's just see what sort of few laps he does. You know, he's perhaps trying to hold out there with the damage that he had, just to see if he could get to a pit window where it wasn't going to kill him, and maybe if he can pick back up into sort of the 48th or so, he could work his way back up to the likes of just the Corpse Vaz, who are currently 15th, 16th, and 17th.
I mean, I absolutely agree with this, and I kind of agree with the North American mentality that even if you're laps down, you still, if the car is working, you bring the car out and try to score as many points as possible, because you never know later down the road if those points will be the difference between finishing in a position or in another. Of course, not a lot of races left in the series, so but still, you never know what's going to happen. So good to get the cars out and maybe score some valuable points.
Jamie having a big old slide at the top of Eau Rouge as well, so just the same. I mean, he's got an absolute gaggle of Coanda cars tucked up behind him right now. Williams, Ostergaard and Pasha Scourgis there as well. So, yeah. Stalking him, that's for sure. He does look like the prey right now.
Yeah, this is going to be, of course, worse and worse as the laps go by because of the tires that are getting a little bit every lap more worn out. So he has to be very, very careful. He's had a moment there, and of course he's feeling the pressure from the guys right behind him.
Now Kevin has gone green in all of his sectors since the pit stop, so it could be he could be okay here. You know, he might just that might have been all it is. The damaged front wing really, really costly.
I think Jamie will be under big pressure come the Raidillon, sorry, the Camel Straight. Needs a good exit, but of course he is going to be powerless because of his opponents having the DRS. And I think both Williams and Oscar will have the DRS. Yeah, even Gergis, of course. I think he's close to his teammate right in front of him. So let's see if Jamie is able to defend. Should be able to do so. But of course, look at with the DRS, they all get punched up right behind him. So it's going to be a very, very tough battle for Jamie.
Yeah, they close up probably about 0.3 of a second down that straight, so you have to think if they get within, I would say, 0.4 coming out of Eau Rouge, then it's going to be very difficult for Jamie to defend. That's kind of where Gregor was when he got by. But if he can keep them around that half a second, looks like he has got the straight line speed to be able to stop them from getting alongside into the braking zone. Utu has closed into the back of Jensen, but it's not been able to make much of a move. Of course, Marcus, well, I thought he was tucked up behind his team, but actually Rogers just about broke away now out of the DRS. That could make Marcus a little bit more vulnerable to perhaps see what goes on there. But still actually relatively close at the front, lap 12. Two-stop pit window is perhaps going to open up relatively shortly. We'll see who decides to jump in. Say Jamie definitely seems to be the head of this train now, starting to form up. Oh, there could be a big crash gone on, you know. I think we will show this as well to see what's happened, because it could be a separate incident. Let's have a look. I'm not sure actually now. A few people into the pits there. Don't know what that was about, but I'm getting some false readings on some possible crashes. Yeah, I think they just checked up a bit too much, and yeah, caused the event viewer to throw a wobbly.
Look at that, Jamie has been able to pull a little bit of a gap over Williams now, 1 second. So maybe those guys are battling also against each other. Of course, Jamie might have a good car also in this section here, so he's able to pull away from his opponents. If he's able to stay out of the DRS zone, is very, very good for him, because if he's out of the DRS zone but his rivals behind him are not, well, they will be battling against each other, even though they are teammates, and they will help him a bit.
Yeah, sometimes just breaking the DRS here can be so important as well, because you do gain about 3 or 4 tenths of a second down that down sort of Camel Straight. You know, that is a lot of lap time to sort of effectively aid and Rogers and Jensen into the pits then. So 2-stop, and look at all the Quander cars, just boom, 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 one after the other, straight in. So they're all going for it. Perhaps a good call for them on strategy. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, they're not wasting any time as well. So in for a penny, in for a pound, Mr. Fluke, I reckon. Try and wing it, my friend. We want another 10 laps out of this, and you can. And there's a potential 1-stop across the Spa. Pit lane is long, and if you can get away with doing 1 less stop, usually it is of a benefit. Not by a lot, but yeah, definitely going to try it. Let's see now. That's released Gregor as well, of course. So Gregor perhaps can start to turn up the wick a little bit and see if he can close in on the back of Matt Backham. He's got 4 and a bit seconds to catch up, I think. Was there any change of positions during the pit stop phase as well? There certainly was. David Williams got himself a speeding penalty by the looks of it. Yeah, 19.2 seconds in the box. So he's actually dropped down behind his 2 teammates and Ricardo Orozco, who is also pitted. So yeah, Williams, he'll be kicking himself with that mistake. But again, so easy to do here on the old tyres. You need to come in carrying some speed, and too easy to lock up.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that wall is so close. I remember when, once again going back to when they Formula 1 came back to the calendar to Spa in 2007. I remember there were a lot of complaints about this very, very narrow pit lane with the walls. I mean, and the funny thing is, after the wall on the right of the pit lane, when you enter, there's like a 100-meter drop straight down to the bottom part, to this part of the track here. So it's quite scary when you're there in person.
I look forward to experiencing it in real life when I get there. So we had the 2 leaders come in as well. So Kroenke and Backham both pitted. They've sort of retained their position ahead of Rogers, about the same sort of gap that they had, 1.5 seconds. That's probably come down a little bit actually with that 1 lap on pressure rubber that Rogers got. Hopefully he'll be trying to see if he can just squeeze into the DRS zone this lap. He's pulled a bit away from his teammate. Gregor has continued on, so has Jamie. Kazuki stayed out, so has Partington. So we're still in that 2-stop window at this point for the next 3 or 4 laps. So there's nothing, there's no reason why we would be looking at a 1-stop at this point for drivers just staying out. Definitely, they've got to make it, I think, to at least lap 20. I think they can probably do 24 laps in the end if they can do 20 laps on the heavier fuel. So 5 more laps, really. Ricardo Orozco had pitted earlier than the rest of them. And he is lapping about 1.2, 1.3 seconds quicker than Fluke right now as well. So that gives you an idea as to the kind of time you're going to do. And that's going to be almost 2 seconds a lap slower than what Kroenke and Backham do when they get fully up to speed. Gregor into the pits as well. He's decided, no, 2-stop for him. Goes that 1 extra. Of course, he'll be on a little bit fresher tyres again than his rivals. Now, where's he going to come out against Rogers and Jensen? I think what will happen actually is going to be a little bit behind those guys, which maybe he can use the fresher rubber to get up and get past, but I feel like he's being stifled at the moment, so it would have made sense for him to get in. Jensen goes purple with a 147.7, so that gives you an idea. A 150.5, so it's like 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds that Luke is giving up right at this second with these tyres. Of course, got another 4 laps just to put up with it and then do it, but we are looking at sort of, that's like 10 seconds lost in those sort of 4 or 5 laps there.
Always, you know, the problem when you try to go with alternate strategy, of course, is this, these tires, especially the difference between the new and the old ones, are crazy with this car. I totally agree with what Jamie is doing, because you know, I mean, at this point in the race and at this point of the championship, when you're not anymore in the hunt for the championship, I mean, take a flyer. Try to go in a different way. You never know what's going to happen. And if he pitted right now, he would be behind Gregor and all the guys. So I think it's a bit too late to go for the two-stopper right now to make it profit call for yourself. So at this point, why not go for a one-stopper and see what happens?
Yeah, I agree. And I think you could see that Jamie perhaps just struggling a little bit on pure pace as well today. Gregor was able to sort of catch him up and get by him, and wasn't really able to close back in on the burst guys. And typically you find that we have slightly better tyre wear than those chaps, and we can usually close them back in towards the end of the stint. Not the case today, so yeah, really I think that kind of made his mind up that he was going to go for that alternate strategy. But yeah, 3 more laps, and we've only seen one little wiggle from Jamie, because we're still on board with Kevin. He is, what is he at the moment? He is 1.7 seconds behind Davy de Cox. Both drivers have pitted. Davy is pulling away at the minute, about half a second a lap. Now that's to be expected, because of course Kevin pitted on the end of lap 9, so there's 4 laps fresher tyres on de Corps's car right now. So Kevin's just going to have to try and again extend this stint just a fraction, come in and then see if he can make some hay in the last stint, when he'll be on sort of equal footing to drivers that are sort of in and around that 10-second window to him right now. Nice to get some lead laps, of course, for Fluke. He's been caught up slowly but surely by Kazuki as well. Kazuki always very good on old rubbish tyres, so any car that's dancing around, Kazuki can seem to tiptoe around a circuit at a ridiculous speed. Somehow he just dances it around. I remember watching, of course, the circuit that we know him probably most famous for was how he just sort of danced that old FW31 around Montreal. That was back in the day when Apex and Ronin Racing were working together. So we were cheering him on, and right up until he hit the wall of champions. And yeah, it was unfortunate, but he was just so good there as well. And he's showing his class once again, up 18 spots at the moment. Of course, pit stop's helping that, but still only 3 seconds behind Fluke at this point. And let's say the last lap again took away about 1/10 and a half in the lap, so he's slowly working his way. It's Mitchell de Jong that's behind Jamie, by the way. Of course, he is a lap down, but what has he got himself up to? Well, still 20th place, of course. Oh, a little wiggle from Fluke, so you can see those tyres really are starting to scream now. 2 more laps, mate, come on.
I remember commentating on an IGPS race last season, where at Imola, where Kazuki won without stopping. I think he was the only guy that didn't stop in that race, and he managed to win. So it was fantastic, and I kept saying, oh man, he's going to destroy the car at some point, he's going to crash, but he didn't crash. He took it very, very safe, and was still very, very fast, and he was able to win that race. So we know he's good with worn tires. Let's see. I think he's going to pit around the same lap as Jamie, because of course, even though he's still very good on worn tires, he's still losing time to the guys behind him. So maybe he's able to stretch 1 lap more, but not much more than that. So let's see. Lap 19 about to start. So we are not expecting Jamie to come in at the end of this lap. Let's see.
Yep, 1 more at least. Like I say, I think he would want to make it to the end of lap 20, but he might decide next lap is the one, especially as the traffic is getting pretty busy behind. And you can see now the Coanda cars are starting to get held up ever so slightly. Michael Partington on the inside there. Kroenke goes around. Backham's going to get the run as well, but that's not going to be straightforward. And I won't think Partington did lift out of it at the end. So yeah, gentleman driver. He didn't have to, absolutely. And yeah, but they go at it, and I think Backham could have a run on his teammate here. Whether he takes it or not, I don't know. Decides not to. Yeah, Kazuki actually was even slower than Jamie that lap as well, so the tyres really are dropping off. They're on absolutely end of life. That cliff very much is upon us, I feel. I remember when they changed the tyre model, Marco, there was so much talk that they were just, they were literally just, tyres were just falling off far too fast. And yet here we are talking about a one-stop strategy as well. Somehow the guys have managed to tweak the car so that we've got some sort of performance, but still be able to hold on to it to actually make these alternate strategies work. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they are saying right now in the real Formula 1. They say, okay, let's make tires that last less. But the counter argument to that is that drivers then will get good at making those tires last longer, and so aiming for that one stopper regardless. Let's see, Jamie is staying out, and so Kazuki.
Yeah, Kazuki has gone in, so yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Of course, that was Martin Kroenke right on the back of Jamie. That's why I got confused.
Oh no, it's Mitchell. It's Mitchell.
Oh yeah.
So, which is why I think Mitchell will probably just sit there. I don't think he's going to try anything. Of course, he is a lap down. Excuse R2 going off in the background. Yeah, he'll pop open his flap, but I don't know if he'll go by. He might do. I mean, he's well within his rights to unlap himself, but of course, Jamie is the race leader at the moment. So Mitchell, very, very fair, respectful driver. I feel like he'll only go through if there's just a clear, open, invitation to go through. And yeah.
Problem for Jensen, I think. He lost one position to Gregor. Maybe a mistake.
Yeah,
fine.
Did go off. I will bring this up because this is relevant to offer. It looks like they're perhaps having a little battle. Oh yeah, just missed his braking. Had to bail out of it. And yeah, so Gregor through. That's what Gregor will want. And of course, he should be able to make light work of Michael just ahead of him, who was on old side to say that. But they're still having a good old ding dong out there. But he is through. So Kroenke about to close in to the back of Fluke. Then you can see him. They are in the same shot. So. Fully expect Jamie to be in this one. Now, of course, had we got any drivers on? Oh, it goes through another. Yeah, for another one. That is definitely an interesting call on the strategy. Backham and Kroenke both go through and pass Dior. Of course, now any deficit that was there and in place for the pit stops has been abolished. They've literally caught him up now. They're on equal footing. They've both got one pit stop to go. So what I expect to happen is I do think Martin will probably get by, although I do feel Jamie's probably going to try and hold on to it. No, he can't. So full DRS and full ERS gets him through. It does hurt Mac just a fraction. But yeah, if Jamie comes in on this lap, then he'll be on the fresher tyres. So he'll regain the net lead position, of course, but then we'll be pitting far, far earlier. So the tyres will be much, much older towards the end of the race. Backham having a look up the inside. Just goes to show just the level of grip that Jamie hasn't got out there compared to these guys right now. Just has to sort of concede the position. Tell you what, Roger's having a fantastic race. I mean, look how close he is to the leaders right now. This is the best we've seen him perform so far this season. Car really holding on to him. I think he'll want to get by here, but I wonder if he'll realise that Fluke will come in. This could pose a little problem for Jamie, especially if he dives to the inside, because the pit lane may be blocked off to him. And yeah, Jamie getting out of it, and that's it. Into the pits he goes. Like I say, he will be quite considerably quicker now, because these guys have been out there for a good 10 laps or so. So I'd expect to see Jamie about a second a lap quicker as well. So they're probably going to have like 7 or 8 laps maybe out there. So like I say, Jamie could come back out of this a good sort of 8 or 9 seconds in the lead. That's basically what he's hoping. He's hoping that he doesn't get caught behind this gaggle of traffic.
Oh.
He needed to be right in front of it, and he's going to be right in the middle of it. Absolute disaster for him. And what he doesn't need is Vaz with this blinky connection once again for a second week in a row, getting in the way.
Yeah, that's a big problem for Jamie's strategy, of course. I was taking a look at the radar and the track map on the right, and I was hoping he would be able to get out of the pits before this group of cars. Not the case.
It was essential that he got out in front of that. That one extra lap, I think, really has hurt him big time, because he's going to be fresh on rubber now. He'll want to get by as quickly as possible, but of course, you're not going to give this position up easy. And once you get stuck in a DRS train, it can be really difficult to get by.
Yeah, let's see. I think he will be aggressive. He wants to make this move quickly. Williams makes a little bit of a mistake into Q1. Let's see if Jamie will be able to move on the inside of the chicane. Not the case. Defending very hard is Williams, covering the inside. Of course, it's fully in his right to do that. So, but now I think Jamie will have a go here between Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane.
Just watching rather than commentating. To the outside then, we have the advantage on the brakes. Williams again trying to hold it. I mean, it's like trying to, you know, once you're in that position, you're done for. Unfortunately, with the 10 lap less rubber on there, there's just nothing you can do, and that's exactly what's happened. Jamie will have a good run here, and he should be able to get by a Roscoe straight away. He's within 4/10. But yeah, that was not the kind of outlap that he wanted, that's for sure. But if he can clear Ricciardo now, then it shouldn't be too bad.
Of course, he has to take care of Kazuki Omishima in front of him as well. He's on the same strategy as him. And of course, he was able to get an undercut thanks to his pit stop a couple of laps earlier.
Yeah, so when did Kazuki pitted on the end of lap 19? See, that's kind of where I thought, you know, they might go. So, but yeah, so interesting couple of strategies out there as well. So you're right, he will be a little bit quicker now, and this second stint will be a lot easier for him because he has extended it a little bit further than perhaps what we thought. So tyres should hold on just a little bit better. But he has got to make his way up to Kazuki. Kazuki's a heck of a defender as well. Any questions that you may have while watching, or even if you're watching this back, you know, don't be afraid to post in the chat and ask me and Marco. We'll try and help you out. Of course, this is very unique. You know, we're not just commentating on this. This is a team stream. You know, so we're happy to have a bit of a chat and get involved with you guys if you want. Just let us know.
I'm really waiting for the next lap that Jamie does, not this one, but of course the one that is starting right now. To see his lap time, because it's going to be the first lap he has where he has clean air. So we can see, of course, he just posted his personal best in this lap while doing the overtakes. So you know he's got good tires on the car. Of course, now let's see good comparison between himself, Kazuki, and the guys in front of him as well. Hopefully he gets a clean lap here so we can get a good reference point.
Graham battling behind. Just take a quick look at that for a second. Roscoe trying to break the slipstream. Got Williams, and I think that might be Mitchell de Jong as well, mixed back in there after Mitchell's pitted, so yeah. It's all a bit messy. And Williams gets out of the way for his teammate, which is weird because he doesn't need to. But yeah, it's just one of those awkward things, I guess, where you've got lap down driver and you're trying to help him move a little bit forward if you can. I will shut up R2 in the background as he keeps going off. Yeah, a bit of a shame for us today, really, Mark. we had a potential really good race on board, but it's not unfolded. So I'm sat here a little gutted for two reasons, really. Because I feel like we could have had an excellent race to commentate on, but yeah, it's kind of fizzled away for us.
I mean, I missed the previous round, but 2 races ago, I remember also there at Nürburgring, there was a crash in the first lap that involved 2 of our cars. So it's been a string of bad luck, especially in the beginning of the race, and of course it's never good when this happens. And sometimes you get these strings of bad races in a row where you seemingly can't get out of the first lap. It happens to great. I remember in the 2000 season, Michael Schumacher had, like, I remember 2 or 3 races in a row where he scored 0 points, and he ended up winning the World Championship regardless. But yeah, it happens even to the best. It's super frustrating, as David Williams, I think, went back to the pits. Yes, that was a very bad crash. Oh man, that was a very, very bad crash. Oh!
Who was that just snuck through there as well? Whoever it was, lightning reflexes. Oh.
So I mean, especially when you have 3 rounds in 3 weeks, like we are having right now, when you have problems in all 3 of the rounds, it really can get you a little bit demoralized, and it's not easy, of course, because you want to always have good races, and when you have bad races in a row, especially towards the end of the season, you don't have a lot of chances to make up for your bad races. So it's going to, I think it's tough on these drivers, especially when you get out once again in the first lap. It's you prepare, you work hard, you qualify in the practice, and then first lap you're out of the race. Must be very, very dejecting.
Indeed. Just obviously this battle is going to be important to us for later on. See who's going to be the first car to come up against Jamie. I think it's going to be Gregor. He's having a run. Oh, I don't think he's got enough to get to him. So Rogers holds on. Oh, Ilka Hapal up with some sort of an issue. We talked about the number of drivers on the grids, obviously the last couple of races, and see that it's dropped down now. It was about the same again this week, but of course we're down to 20 after the retirees. And there was some talk behind the scenes as well, trying to boost the numbers and things like that. So I can't go into too much detail on it, but hopefully we will see numbers improve for, well, certainly for next season, hopefully. So I don't know really the ins and outs of it at all, but yeah, apparently there are plans afoot. But like I say, for me, I just really hope they reintroduce the way that they can get pro drivers into these races as well. When I was a pro driver, it was one of the biggest motivations I had to sort of, try and get my pro license in season 1, because I knew I had the opportunity to race in the World Championship the rest of the season if I was able to qualify in one of the few grid spots that were available. And that it was like that then. You had 3 spots maybe that you could qualify for, because there's perhaps 32 drivers turned up. Where now, I mean, they'd all be on the grid, but I think if it kept it busy, they probably wouldn't be. So
yeah, there has been we talked about this even last season in the IGPS during the IGPS broadcast. The need to revitalize the open wheel ladder in iRacing is a necessity and very, very important thing to do, because so far it's the only, I think, World Championship that has a problem with participation. And the conspiracy theory I'm reading lately, and get your tinfoil hats on if you have it at your proximity, is that iRacing is holding off on releasing details on the Road to Pro Series because of the new open wheeler they are working on, and conspiracy theorists are saying that it's going to be, you know, a very almost top open wheeler from one of the most important junior categories, and you know, maybe that car that, of course I'm talking about the F2 car, the Formula 2 car, is going to be a car that is much similar to this Formula 1 car here that we have here, compared to the other open wheelers that we have on iRacing right now, that are not as powerful as this one, and they share basically nothing apart from having a steering wheel and 4 wheels. I'm talking about the Formula Renault and the Pro Mazda, and of course the Skip Barber is completely different. It's just an open wheeler because it has no, you know, nothing over the wheels. So maybe that, because we've talked about this RX in the past, there's no natural progression on the open wheel side. You take this massive jump from the Formula Renault Pro Mazda straight to the Formula 1 car, and we talked about the fact that with the IndyCar it's not possible to have a World Championship because of the fact that we have to include ovals in that, and of course those won't be very well received by the, I think, from the WCS regulars racing year. So maybe with the introduction of a step between the smaller formulas and this car here, we might have a little bit of a boost in participation, but that doesn't change the fact, and this might be just a, I don't know if just for nostalgia or for, you know, something that is real, because I never driven either car. I drove this car, but, you know, never in a competitive setting. That people are, you know, longing for the days of the Williams when it was the F1 car, because it was a much more honest and true car, and you could really understand what you were doing out there on the track.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I love that car compared to this one, even though at the time I hated it, that was for sure. I'd just be interested just to see if he's still in the chat on YouTube. Peter, are you still there? If you are, what about an F2 car? Would that interest you? You know, that'd be quite interesting. If, you know, if it piques your interest, you know, come and say hello to us. You know, I know probably it's not been the afternoon you wanted, and I can understand why you've not come and said hello. But yeah, let us know that. What about those of you that are watching? I know there's not a huge amount of you, because there never is, because we don't typically promote this broadcast. We don't want to step on sort of anyone's toes. But yeah, what do you guys think? You know, do you think an F2 car? Oh, an F2 car might be quite good. Yeah. More than anything, I think no matter what car we do, that car's got to be released, and it's got to be released with the new time model that they've been working on as well. We've got to have this over-the-edge performance, because that's what we struggle with right now, is the minute we go just over the limit, ever so slightly, that's when the car just falls apart and tires fall apart. If we can get that, I think it'll make for some, you know, some phenomenal racing, because very difficult for us to battle hard out there as well, when we literally are on the edge all the time, and it's like this massive abyss that once we go 101% of what the tyre can handle, that we just sort of fall into. So if we can get that, then we will be able to have some even better battles out there, I think. Some real sort of ding-dong.
Yeah, I was talking, for example, the other day with some of the drivers in the Euro V8 series that was broadcast here on Apex, and they were talking about a race we did at Summit Point Raceway, and they said that basically the moment you had an half spin or you put the car sideways, that was your race over. And we were talking about you know, sprint races, 20-minute races at Summit Point, so very short track, you know, quick kind of racing. And if you destroyed your tires just by doing a half spin or, you know, sliding the car through a corner, you know, something that with a V8 supercar tends to happen, that was your race. That was done, and it was impossible to recover from that, as you see Bakum, Osgard, and I think the other driver
Pashless in as well.
In the pits as well.
So Bakum in, Kroenke stays out. Now that could be quite interesting as far as the race lead goes as well, because Martin was not great. It was not far behind. Bakken was not far behind. Bakken comes out behind Fluke, as we pretty much thought that he would do. So, yeah, we've got Fluke now trying to have this battle with Kazuki. He's got his teammate right behind him, sorry, not his teammate, that's Mitchell. And Mitchell now having to slow down. They're having a little battle behind. That's Bakken and Rogers. Rogers is through on Bakken. So that's, yeah, that's key. And they're going to obviously come up on this these battling one-stoppers this lap as well. So 14 laps to go, and they're on the tail of them. So they've had really, really good pace out there, these front 4 or 5 cars today. And yeah, the two-stop definitely looked like, actually, in hindsight, was the way to go.
Looks like so, yeah. But you had to stop when these guys stopped. I mean, I don't think that stopping later, like Gregor did, is going to be profitable in the end. Of course, Gregor has massive talent, super fast, so he might be able to cover for his little mistake in strategy. But see this huge train of cars, and if Jamie can make a move on Kazuki right now, he put a little bit of buffer between himself and his opponent. But you see, not going to be easy because Rogers is right on his tail and maybe looking for a crazy move down branch 1 on the inside. Thinks Petrovic, Cronky and Uttu are both in the pits together. And Rogers goes for a move. A little bit of contact there.
Oh, Mackham spins him around! There was just a bit of contact on the rear there on Jamie's car. Unfortunately, I know Mac well enough to know that that's the last thing he would have wanted as well. But just the merest of nicks, and he sends Fluke around. Oh, Jamie's good. Well, I think that's just summed up our day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because he's got a bit of an accordion effect there. All were almost running into each other, and Jamie sadly took all of it basically. Yeah,
yeah. Wow. What can you say? Like I say, I'm not going to sit here and blame Mac for it. That was it was the tiniest of touches. But unfortunately, yes, it was that spun him. So I am. But yeah, it's there's no intent or anything like that. Just one of those horrible racing incidents that can occur. Now, yeah. Did he get any wing damage from it? Looks like he has. So you can just see the front right-hand side, I think, just lifted up ever so slightly. Shouldn't affect him too much. I think he'll get by Kazuki here, no problem. But could hamper him as far as getting by Rogers does. He has got fresher tyres, 2 laps fresher tyres, so he will be in a strong position. Also, Cronky, loving it really, loving all that battling. It was perfect for him. He was able to stay out even longer. Really put there was a chance that he was going to get undercut, but with the one-stoppers out there, played into his hands. Perfect. So, yeah, top marks from him. Now, what this does do for poor Jamie is it does bring in the likes of Ostergaard and Gurgis. Charles there. But they could well catch him up as well. So, yeah, I'm a bit gutted. Because I think actually he had them covered off quite comfortably for this race. And he could well, I think it would have been 5th place that he would have finished, maybe 6th place, something like that. Would have been a really good result, but it's actually going to struggle to hold on to this top 10 at this point.
Yes, because there's a long way to go. 12 laps are extremely long on this track. As Ostergaard makes a move on Partington, and it's quite easy on the straight way before the chicane. So Ostergaard is in P8. Here's Kevin Ellis Jr. riding in P17.
Yeah, we haven't checked in with Kev for a little while. He had to pit on lap 21. Sorry, 26 it was. Dion Verge is ahead of him right now. Actually lapping just ever so slightly quicker that last lap. So still a very frustrating race for Kevin. He's more just going through the motions, bringing it to an end. Let's see if he can. 1.4 seconds back from the back of Verges as well. So there's a chance that he might be able to catch up to the back of Dion by the end of this one. But again, the tyre difference is it's a few laps there, so it's going to be difficult.
Meantime, De Jong went up one place. He's in P19 right now, thanks to, I think, David Williams' retirement.
And that right there is exactly why you stay out and you stay involved, because every point can help. If something happens to mine in the final race of the season, then he's still got every chance of winning this as well. Although I have to say that's probably not going to happen, is it? Because just thinking of the points deficit that he's going to lose behind now, he was behind, so his maximum points, he's going to be, I don't know, as long as he's not, I think what he would need is mine to DNF on like the first lap or something like that. So this could almost wrap up the championship here for Kroenke. Oh, I suppose not true. I suppose like Hutu and that will still be in the mix. So are Mac as well. They haven't lost that many points on him. So yeah, perhaps getting ahead of myself there.
See Jamie falling in the clutches of Oscar. That was what you were fearing, and of course it's happening. That spin really destroyed any chance that Jamie had of a top 5 finish. And of course now it puts him in trouble because he has to watch in his mirrors. And these guys have fresher tires, so it's going to be very tough for Jamie to hold these guys off. As you see, wiggling a bit there into the double right-hander in front of the karting track. Look at the ground that Oscar was able to make in the second part of the lap. Anton gets, Gergis gets his fastest lap of the race, 47.7. He also is closing in on Jamie as they go down to Oruge and Redion. I think Osgard will go for a move here before the chicane. On the inside, nothing that Jamie can do, I think, here, and that's the move done for P7. So Jamie goes down to P8.
Yeah, there's no tyre on the offing really to be able to defend with, and then once the DRS come open, that was it. Pretty much slam dunk. Rogers with a phenomenal race again. Got back all over him as well. You can see him on the mini map, but still only 1.7 behind Kroenke as well. So done an absolute fantastic job here today.
Now Gergis will try and get the move done. I think he will try for a move. Oh, look at that! Very aggressive chicane by Pascharis there. But I think he will go for a move on the backstretch once again.
Yeah, there's no need to sort of rush it, I think, is there? Really, he'll just sort of bide his time. I'll get the run here as well. Rouge, much like his teammate did just a lap ago. It's perhaps a bit close actually as well. You almost don't get the kind of run that you want when you're that close coming over the hill. But yeah, straightforward. Opens that DRS, keeps the hybrid system deploying, and through he goes. Yeah, nothing Jamie can do. So yeah, gutted. He's got 9 laps to go. At the lap times that they're doing, they are about half a second, 3/4 of a second faster at this point. So it would have been close, you know, I think, anyway, whether or not he would have held on. So, but yeah, in the end, the little spin is what did the damage. Now, Jamie is still running quicker than Kazuki out there, but unfortunately, I just don't think he's going to be able to close up. I'm just trying to look what the gap is. It's about 9 seconds, so yeah, that's not going to happen. And that's about exactly how much he lost, wasn't it? Really, with the bus stop incident.
Yeah, unless Kazuki gets involved in some battles, it's going to be tough for Jamie to close the gap. So.
Of course, he is going to have the 2 Koano cars on him soon enough. Just having a little look at Kevin as well. I just wanted to see what lap times he did compared to D on this lap. See if he is closing that gap up, because it's still sat around about 2 seconds, but looks fairly consistent. That damage that he picked up early on just really hampering him. Yeah, 49 this time, so he lost a bit more time. So poor old Kev, nothing he can do out there. Just sort of going through the motions, trying to bring the car home. Fair play for him to sticking out there, because it could have been, yeah, he could have easily just pulled that up. So Jamie's got, what, Michael Partington behind him. He is also on a one-stop strategy, so can't see him having to worry about Michael. Seems to be pulling away ever so slightly. And yeah, there's this battle ahead we talked about that might make it interesting. They hold each other up.
You see, because I think Oscar will try to go for a move quickly.
And
because he has the same problem. Yeah, the same problem as Jamie. So older tires. And Oscar is able to make a move with ease in the bus stop.
What we missed is somewhere on that lap as well. I think Matt Backham got himself up and passed and through on Rogers. Gregor's on his tail as well now, so trying to hold on to his podium is Josh here. Some big old names around him. Just having a quick look as well. When did he pit in? He pitted in on lap 27, Gregor on lap 30, so 3 laps newer tyres. The last few laps he's been, well, the last lap we can't count, but he has been definitely a few tenths of a second quicker. I have to say, there's part of me feels like Gregor's been the quickest driver out there today, but he kept going for the overcut, and it's coming back to him now, but I think it's just too late. He's got too many cars to overtake and get to.
Yes. Again, he was sort of caught in between the 2 strategies, and then pitted too late, I think. So that really put his race in a disadvantage. So right now, as I said, he's got great talent, so he's able to close the gap on the cars in front of him. But of course, it could have been quite a bit better for him.
Yeah, this is Rogers going to have to do some defending here. He's just dropped outside the DRS zone of Backham as well, so this is where he's going to be vulnerable. It's going to happen. This is the lap for Gregor, 2 tenths of a second as they exit turn 1. That's definitely inside the window that we were looking at earlier on. Both drivers going off track as well to try and carry the speed through Eau Rouge, but defensive line put on for Rogers, deploying all of the energy possibly can, but Gregor round the outside. Oh, it's very close, but no contact, which is absolutely great from both drivers.
has a fantastic move there, and Gregor is up to the podium. Fair play to Rogers, he tried everything to avoid getting overtaken there, but it was too much. Great move by Gregor, as now cameras are back on Jamie, sitting in P9, with Partington behind him. He's got a decent gap over the car behind him, so 3 seconds and a half, which, I mean, not a long way to go, but like I said, laps are very long, so hopefully he's able to hold on to he should be able to hold on to the top 10. Let's hope he can finish at least in the ninth position. That would be, you know, still it would be a race with a lot of I wouldn't say regrets on his part, of course, because it wasn't his fault. But that contact there really makes you wonder what if, because I think top 5 was on the cards. But that has happened, so just have to worry about at least keeping this position and getting as many points as possible. And just getting a look at the lap times for this time around. That was lap 38, finishing 49.2 for Jamie, and Partington 49.8. So at least the clock gives good news for Jamie. He should be able to hold on to this 9th place.
Yeah, 1 second that lap on Kazuki. I mean, if it carries on at that kind of closure rate, then he could get there, but Kazuki extend that first stint that much. Sorry, or want to extend the second stint, sorry, by coming in early. Maybe. I'm thinking that's more of a lap time just because Pash got past him, wasn't it, than anything. But I'll hold on for some hope for Jim that that's it. The tyres are starting to really hurt for Kazuki right now.
Just going back for the final time to my experience here at the track. When I went to Spa for the first time, it was the first time I went to a track that was scanned on iRacing. So, well, I've been to Imola, but I've been to Imola in the early 2000s, so before they had done the renovation works. And when I went to Spa and watching the race there, and then coming back home, I fired up iRacing and got a lap around the track. And I noticed the amazing attention to detail. It's fantastic how they recreated the track to perfection in the simulator. And I'm not only talking about the track, of course, but also all the the grandstands and the buildings and the trees. Those are the exact trees, same varieties that you see on the track. It's amazing the level of how accurate it is, and it really made me understand the level of effort that they put when they release the tracks for iRacing. I imagine what you felt at the Nordschleife at the Nürburgring, because that was an even more recent scan. I think that was like 2 years ago. So while Spa, I think it's around 2011, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you are right with the grandstands around the Nürburgring. Just ridiculous. Yeah, the detail of it, everything sort of matches up, even behind there. You think they wouldn't need to do that. And I remember them doing a little piece on when they did, Mount Panorama as well. Like, they even made sure that some of the trees that had, like, carvings in them and things like that were represented on the sim as well. So, yeah, you got to love the detail sometimes. Yeah, just keep up the good work on the track scans, I have to say. I'm looking forward to New Silverstone, see what that's like.
Even the older tracks, for example, Laguna Seca, when you do the corkscrew, there was a tree. When you come out of the corkscrew, and you see that there's the tree that is used in real life by the drivers to understand where they are positioned in comparison to the track. and when they want to do the corkscrew done well, they point the car straight to the tree, and they floor the gas pedal, and then they know they are on the right line. And that tree is on iRacing as well. And I actually read about the tree, found it in the simulator, and tried it, and it works. And I had massive problems doing that corner back when I was a rookie. I even had problems with it. But still, it's fantastic that that tree in real life and in the sim is used as a reference point to get your corkscrew done right.
Now, I don't like to call shenanigans when I might be absolutely talking out of my backside here, but all of a sudden, Cronky's found about 0.6 of a second pace, and I wonder if there's some team tactics going on here, just to get Mac back into that DRS zone to help him defend from Hutu, which is perfectly fine, but yeah, I get the sense that they've done that from Martin just to help him and help the team hold on to this 1-2, because I feel like Hutu would have hunted down Mac and got past. But the minute that Mac has now got the DRS to defend from his teammate, Gregor's job just becomes impossibly difficult, I think, with only a couple of laps fresher tyre.
We'll see. I think Mac will have the DRS starting from this lap, because he's under 1 second.
Yeah, I mean, Gregor's going to have to be 0.2 of a second behind to get it done, because it's going to have to be the slipstream that does it. So, and 0.5 second, you'll see because there won't be any gain, and that's something that iRacing really have to do, and I don't mind giving them the feedback on that, but they 100% have to improve, as he's a lot closer than I thought he was going to be. The slipstream effect that we get off the car, just not enough. You know, we're far too reliant on DRS to make the overtake, not the slipstream. So somebody can be 0.9 of a second back, and you only do gain 1/10 of a second because of the slipstream if you were, say, 0.5 second behind them. It's just not enough of a difference, where actually in real life the performance increase by being in the draft is actually probably more substantial than when you open the DRS, and it's certainly not that way on iRacing.
Yeah, I mean, in some cars the draft is incredibly strong. For example, the MX-5, and in some cars, which is, by all accounts, what I'm reading for drivers that drive that car in real life, pretty accurate. The draft is quite strong in that car. It's quite odd that in comparison, in open wheelers is not that big of a factor. So,
yeah, and they talk about the wake and things like that on the F1 cars being so big and things like that. You know, punching a hole through that and dirty air being so critical and stuff. And yeah, we just haven't quite got that. So yeah, it's something I've literally from the sort of the minute the car was released, I hope that they'll tweak, but never really been done. But then I don't think I've ever really seen the community get behind it, you know, and ask for these changes, you know. When a lot of people moan about the car and say these things need to change, point in case the dual clutch, yeah, and I don't care that we were, you know, had some sort of part to play with that, because obviously we developed our own dual clutch, you know, hardware to get this car off the line. You know, it forced iRacing actually, because the guys were moaning about it so severely that actually they developed and improved the car, and kind of feel like that's almost what they need to do again if we're going to sort of see some sort of draft tweaks happen.
Yeah, there's hope. I mean, luckily for us, iRacing is always improving and changing things from season to season. Lately, without announcing it, it has happened in some of the cars, including this one. But also in the Skip Barber, for example, something has changed without being announced. We'll see what happens. Of course, it's critical to have a clear plan for next season. Like we were saying earlier, the Road to Pro Series is coming back, and maybe we'll have some news about that series and the car, or maybe a new car, who knows, in the next few weeks. As once again, I think Martin has dropped back a little just to give his teammate a bit of a
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Look at the lap time. You know it as well. It's so clear. It's absolutely fine. Do you know what I mean? It's team tactics. It goes on absolutely any series. It doesn't matter if it's real F1 or it's the iRacing World Championship. You know, you're in there to help your teammate out, and you know, Martin doing a team job for his teammate right now as well, just to hold on to that 1-2. I mean, there's no team points up for grabs or anything like that. It's just about personal pride and helping out your teammate, which is pretty cool as well. So they're not doing it for money. They're not doing it for points or anything else like that goes on there. It's just to get a one-up on their rival, really, which is pretty cool. I do like that.
White flag is in the air, so final lap of the race. Jamie is holding on to P9 as I think, Partington is not gaining on him, so he's pretty sure about this 9th position. Sadly, he's not going to be able to catch Kazuki in front of him. Utku is extremely close. Will he risk a move going into the final chicane? That's my big question, because I think he wants as many points as possible going into the final round of the season.
Yeah, come on, Gregor. Just send it, son. Have a little look on that final lap. Oh, just perhaps not the line he wanted through there. Lost a little bit of time. I got to watch this. It's too exciting. You know, the 1, 2, 3, they're right next to each other. Oh, another mistake from Gregor. Well, not going to matter now because he's not going to do it. He's too far back. But, yeah, that would have been interesting if he'd have just stuck one up the inside on the last lap. But, yeah, just a couple of little mistakes. Uncharacteristic mistakes as well.
Oh, what's going on here? Oh man, luckily this race has not been shown on Italian television, otherwise they would be ballistic, and Gregor Utku goes for a move and finishes second.
Too right. Oh, well, yeah.
Oh man, the Italian press would be all over this.
They've done that. I'll tell you what that is for. That is for 3rd place in the championship right there. They've literally swapped positions to get Mac ahead of Gregor in the championship. That's why the tactics were going on there as well. Oh, so I take it all back. It is for points. It's for money. It is for everything. Yeah. Oh. Wow.
9th place for Jamie.
I can only imagine what Jake Sperry is saying right now over on Racespot. That poor microphone. Turn your headphones down, boys, if you haven't heard it yet. You're about to be deafened. Wow. But yeah, Jamie finishing 9th. You know, after what happened, things like that, he'll be a bit disappointed, but he'll still be happy with a top 10. At least far better than the last couple of races. Definitely had the pace over Kazuki. Without the crash, it'd have been close if he'd held on to Tommy and go Pash for a second there as well. Could have possibly had 6, but I think that was the best he was going to do. Really, really close race. At the top 5 drivers, all within 10 seconds. Top 4 all within 5. So really, really good race.
Yeah, and good job. Also, Kevin finished E16. De Jong finished in P18, so gained another spot. I think Mogarfiglio retired. That gave him. Also Kevin was able to go by David Corp, so he made a pass somewhere.
Kevin's out of fuel as well, by the way, so might have been another reason why he couldn't really put the lap times in that he wanted earlier on. Of course, when you do get the wing damage, you mentioned it last week, Marco, I think, didn't you, or the week before, where, you know, it can affect your fuel efficiency. And yes. I think that's exactly kind of what's happened to Kevin there. So he really has been sort of stifled throughout the race. So
I can tell you, especially on the oval side, which, you know, is my preferred side in iRacing, is a big problem when you have damage, both in open wheeler and in stock cars. When you get aero damage, especially on the longer tracks, you tend to have more fuel consumption and more tire consumption. It can really be a tough thing to deal with in the long run. So,
well, let's bring up the final race results. We'll run through them. So yeah, Matt Backham took the win in the end. Yeah. Okay. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Hutu in second place. Just was not having any of that, was he? He was not going to fall in behind Martin, that was for sure. Just get out of the way on the final corner, which was great to see in second place. So Kroenke, who was effectively, to be fair, the class field today, he definitely had the pace on all of them and really just slowed up and let the guys catch up in third. Rogers, driver of the day for me. Really was. Fantastic drive. Finished 6.7 seconds back in the end. But real standout performance for him and Jensen as well. Good result for Burst Esports, and I'm not going to take that away from them as well. They struggled a little bit to hold on to tyres this season, and they definitely stepped it up for today. Tommy Ostergaard in 6th, Paschalis Gurgis in 7th. And it's Kazuki Mishima in 8th. Good run from him as well. He was up so many places in the end, 12 spots in the end. Jamie Fluke held on for 9th after getting bumped around a little bit in that one as well. Michael Partington 10th, Yao Vaz in 11th, Ilka Hapala 12th, Ricardo Orozco in 13th, Paul Ilbrink, followed by Dion Verges, and now Kevin Ellis Jr. David de Kops, Mitchell de Jong was the last of the runners out there. Retirees, Mokafilo, David Williams, Antoine Hegelin, Peter Berryman, Ballas Remnick, and Stephen Michaels. I've got something to ask you, and this could be controversial as well, on both the terms of what's going on with sort of iRacing now, as far as like the officiating and kind of what's gone on in the race there as well. Had this race been sort of an F1 race and Mac had turned Jamie in that race, in a real race, would Charlie Whiting have given him a penalty? Would he have had no opportunity to win that? We have no live stewards. We have no way of stewarding this race. We just have to deal with that here, and that's something that was taken away from us this season. I asked that question just because I like to stir up a bit of, bit of stuff.
I have to be honest with you. We've seen many times collisions like this, or collisions a bit more, clear or unclear, let's say. And I think that the judgment has always been 50-50. You see two crashes that are the same, they are judged one way or the other, depending on how Charlie wakes up that day. This could have been a penalty. Could have been a penalty, absolutely. Because in the end, you damaged your opponent in an avoidable accident, because they were going, into a straight line. Yeah, there was some slowdown left and right, but it was not like a tough braking zone when everybody was running there 3 wide. So it could have been very well been a penalty.
And rather interestedly as well, you might not know this, but a little while back, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, now the roles were very much reversed, and a certain driver did very similar thing off of his own back. There was no team rules involved, but he actually got a penalty for it in this series as well, and that was letting the driver go. So what Martin did, that's, got to be careful there, because they're precedent set. And it was one of the top 10 drivers in the world as well, certainly doing a bit of F1 esports for McLaren right now as well. So he'll happily say, to help his teammate out right now as well, I'm sure, that he got penalized for doing exactly the same thing, just a few years back. So yeah, maybe there'll be some discussions going on the forum in the World Championship behind the scenes forum a bit later on tonight. That could be interesting. I promise not to stir it up.
I tell you my opinion. Once I say this all the time, but it's worth repeating. I have an American, a novel mentality, so I am okay with no contacts, collisions. I don't make a big deal of it. But so, for example, what happened in the final corner of the race with Gregor moving Kroenke out of the way, perfectly fine with me. But this is a World Championship. You need live officiating. It's ridiculous that we don't have live officiating in the World Championship.
Mr. Fluke.
Hello.
I'm glad you got to the end, mate. I was worried for you, I tell you. So, a couple of sketchy moments. Tough call on the one-stop strategy as well, and then the little turn unfortunately set you back. I think you'd have had Kazuki no problem. Maybe held on to just ahead of Tommy in the end to settle for ninth. How are you feeling? I know you've had a couple of bad races, so just to get yourself back in top 10 has got to be good. But I don't know why I'm just feeling like maybe that you feel like you could have had a bit more today.
Yeah, max for me was P8 on that strat, which would have been just ahead of Kazuki. So I'm just glad to get over the line and finished. No pace in the car, and truthfully, I didn't even have the relative drop off to even make a one stop properly work compared to everyone else. Of all the Coanda boys that tried to one stop, they would have blitzed me anyway. So yeah, it was just one of those tough races where I just had to make it to the end and see where I panned out.
We had a bit of misfortune in the last 3 weeks. It's been a tough 3 weeks as well. Obviously, all these back-to-back races. What's the Are we good to get out of this now? Are we happy we've got a break? We were talking about it earlier on in the race.
Yeah, I'm delighted that I don't have to touch the F1 car tomorrow to get started for the next race. So yeah, I can. Well, I kind of can't because I'm away from work. All of next week, so I'm still going to have 1 week to prep for Coda anyway. So, but at least I have time to step away from the car for a little bit and then jump back in next weekend.
And your opinion on the shuffle around on the end of the race there as well. Might as well make it a bit of a talking point, as they like to do that in real F1 too.
Yeah, took a wee nosy at it. I think if Martin's going to pull that move, he absolutely deserves that. So, that's fine by me. What Gregor done, just with the circumstances. In any other situation, I would say it's a pretty poor move from Gregor, but because Martin's, manipulated the outcome of the race by trying to let Mac through and then holding on to second, just before the line, I think all's fair enough in war, I guess. So that's fine by me.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about obviously trying to orchestrate. Well, I thought I could see Martin was holding up the pace a bit, just to try and give Mac a little bit of a run, but stop the defender. I didn't realise they were going to do a bit of a reversal and everything else like that. So a bit funny at the time. The contact between you and Mac, I mean, to be fair, I called it a racing incident, I think, because it was all sort of checked up and stuff like that. But what's your view on it?
Yeah, I grazed the big sausage curb on the left-hand side, which got me unsettled anyway, and then Mac just sort of finished the job for me, I guess. So, like I said, even if I had a perfectly clean race up until and through that point, P8 was the max I was getting out of today, so I'm not really too stressed about it or worried. It just adds a few incident points onto a race that I was pretty clean in, so it's literally the only downside to it.
Cool. All right, mate. Well, I'm glad you got to the end of this one and you haven't been, car's not been absolutely totaled like the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, good to see you sort of back up and in that top 10 and past the checkered flag.
Oh, I know. I'm absolutely delighted just to see the end of one of these races, and it gives me something to build on for Coda rather than trying to scramble and recover. So, I don't know exactly what that does for the championship for me. I know Marcus had a pretty good race, and he's the one challenging me for P8. So. We'll see what the numbers say and what I need to do for Coda.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Thanks very much, mate. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Well, Marco, that brings us to a close, I think.
Yes, and I, use this opportunity to remind the upcoming events. Of course, tomorrow at 12 p.m. GMT, we have the iRacing Championship Series, and of course, so if you want more Formula 1 racing, you have it. And of course, Sunday night at 19:15 GMT, the Porsche Immortal Cup by BSR. So double feature tomorrow on Apex Racing TV, and of course, back from Monday, we are starting with the usual weekly schedule that we are running out this season. So a lot of stuff coming your way. It was a pleasure joining you, Alex. And of course, I can't wait for the final round of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for tuning in, everybody, or who watches it post race as well. So perhaps not the result we wanted, but yeah, the debrief will start. We'll come back stronger than ever, I'm sure, Kota, in what is it, 3 weeks' time. See you then.